Marc Diakiese, who is back in action next week, November 13th. Mark, good to sit down and catch up. How are things with you down in Stockholm, Sweden?
I'm great, man. I'm great. Thanks for having me. And
Perfect, mate.
Sweden's been good. Good so far.
What's the weather like? Out of interest, I've never been anywhere near. What's the weather like?
It's usually cold. I can't lie, it used to be cold. I can remember when I used to come here, like back in 2015. I used to always get like knee injuries because I didn't warm up properly. I'd pop my knees, but obviously, yeah, I'm used to it now. So I make sure I warm up properly before I get going. But it's usually cold.
Yeah. Listen, I want to ask about the man who I've seen you've been training with, who made a statement Saturday night, Chimaev. First of all, what is that maniac like in person, and what does he like to train with?
I've got a video here. I was gonna post before fight, but I didn't post it. The guy is crazy. I mean, I like the energy. If you're around him, you got to put the work. Like, it's like competition. He makes sure, like, when it's run, like, I can remember we're doing sprints. We had to do like 3K on the 30 minutes. So I'm like, I'm not trying to beat him. I put it to like 16 speed. And my guy's so crazy. He put like 18. He started looking at me. Trying to beat me. It's like everything's a competition, even weights. Like, I'm thinking, I'm live in you, but it's going, come on, bro. This is a championship, so you need to do this. But I'm like, we're not the same way. You're making me do what you're doing. Yeah. So I just started going through it as well. So I like this spirit. It's good to work around him.
How far do you think he goes? He's just beat number 11 in the world. How far is in your opinion, having trained with him? Is he championship caliber at some point?
Definitely, yeah, definitely. Because I don't know. I believe I've got pretty good wrestling. I've wrestled a lot of wrestlers, and he's got different kind of wrestling. Like he'll keep pushing. The cardio. Obviously, I've trained here before as well. I know how to push the cardio. Yeah. So yeah, he's in the right place, in the right mindset. I think he's up there.
Because that's one thing about you, Mark. You look at all the gyms you've trained with, obviously ATT for a while, and now at All Stars, you probably had so many looks throughout training, so many different wrestlers, so many different strikers, which is going to obviously improve your game.
Yeah, definitely. No, I feel like, especially right now, I'm in the right place, my right mind. I feel like now I'm ready to do what I got to do now. It's my turn. Because even here, just wrestling with the wrestlers, because before it was like All Stars, but now I'm calling like it's like fucking Dagestani or something. It's full of like wrestlers. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? It's full of wrestlers. So I was like, it's completely changed. But I'm actually shocked how well I'm doing, because I thought, you know what I mean? There's a lot of Russians. Yeah. They actually shocked how well I'm doing as well. So even Khamzat said, he said, "Oh, give me a pass for half Dagestanian because I'm a wrestling." And but just say I don't use it enough, you know what I mean? But here I'm just starting to realize that I can actually wrestle properly. So yeah, that's pretty good.
Yeah, because we've talked about that, haven't we? I remember me and you had a conversation about you said you came on the scene with all the the highlight reel knockouts, and people characterize you as just a striker, but you've always said to me about you always felt your wrestling and grappling's been a bit underrated.
Yeah, I like early in my career, if you watch, I wrestled most of the guys, and I also trained there, and that's what I knew. I wrestled people, and everyone just started saying to me, "Oh, all you can do is wrestle." So obviously, I didn't like that, and I went to striking gym, and I started striking, and I had power, so I started to knock people out. And when I got to UFC, everyone started saying, "Oh, he's a striker. What's your ground game like?" But they didn't see my like earlier fights where I was like wrestling everybody. So I feel like now I've been able to put my game together where I know I can wrestle, I know I can strike. It's coming very nice. I think as an athlete, like there's time for everybody. I feel like now I've started to understand my game, which before I didn't really know, like I was a striker or a wrestler. Certain things I was doing, it wasn't really like, it wouldn't work on everybody. So now I know, like, okay, I've got all the tools that I need, to get at top level. So yeah, I'm ready.
How old were you when you joined the UFC? Was it 23, 24, something like that?
I think 24, yeah. 5 years. I'm not, yeah.
That's very young to join the UFC when you think about it. So you've learned on the job, haven't you? So go on, carry on.
So now I've been feeling that, like, I'm watching all these fighters, like, I'm like, before they got to UFC, they took a couple of losses, you know what I mean? I'm amateur, I was 9-0, 3 belts. And for some reason, amateurs in England didn't want to fight like each other. and I couldn't carry on fighting amateur, so I had to turn pro. And a pro was 9-0 with the belt, and I got to UFC. So I didn't really take a loss or anything. I didn't really get any learning where I've been learning inside the UFC. Now I feel like it's my time, to start pushing forward.
Yeah. Well, let's talk about the opponent, Rafael Alves, who only got the one fight in UFC, which was a decision loss. What are your opinions on Alves as your upcoming opponent?
He's just maniac, isn't it? He's a crazy guy. What I've so far know, he's aggressive. He likes to throw. He just, capoeira guy. Is, I'm gonna just go out there and trying to do a clean job. But I do feel like, it's gonna be a fun fight for the fans.
Is it a little bit like, and I don't want to be disrespectful to Alves, but a little bit like skill versus strength in a way? He's got the brawl and style, if you like. You're probably going to want to maybe pick him off from the outside, or am I mistaken there?
Nah, if you want to play that game, come on. I fought my last fight. I'm sure you see my last fight.
Of course.
My guy had power, you know what I mean? It was coming forward. It doesn't really bother me. But he has to bring something to the table. He can't come with the strength. It was not gonna work around me, because I can outpower him if I want to. You know what I mean? So I feel like he has to bring skill to it.
I always say that because that fight against Fiziev was his coming out moment, wasn't it? He was doing everyone was going crazy when you were throwing the head kicks and he was leaning back and all of that. But if we actually think about it, Mark, that fight was 2 rounds to 1. That was a very close, very competitive fight, and Fiziev's now got all this hype, rightly deserved. But that was actually a good performance in a losing effort by yourself.
Yeah, no, I that's the only fight. I usually get upset after learn when you take a loss. But that's the only fight I actually wasn't upset. I was like, I learned a lot from the fight, because if you look at Fiziev, whatever he's called, he's had over 280 Thai fights.
Yeah.
I've never had that, I went straight to MMA. I've had 18 pro fights, you know what I mean? So it's not really that much. I'm just learning. I feel like I've been learning on the job, and taking something like that and me watching him do what he's been doing to all the rest of his guys, knocking them out, you know what I mean, putting some great performances. I did well.
Yeah.
And I now know as long as I put the right camp together, I'll be most of these guys. Because if you look at that camp, it was through COVID as well.
Yeah.
And you can ask Danny Mitchell. I trained Danny Mitchell with Rico, Rico Franco.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's the only people I had for sparring. So I'd get Danny on the ground to get me tired, and Rico for stand up. I didn't have no sparring partners. I didn't have like a proper camp, you know what I mean? Because we were in a lockdown. I did what I could, and he came in on 6 weeks' notice. So it is what it is, but I know what I'm capable of before camp, what I can do properly.
Yeah. I want to talk about that as well, because throughout this pandemic, and listen, I know we've met before and we've had a relationship, so I'm not saying this biased, but I think you've been one of the most unlucky fighters throughout this pandemic. I looked before we jumped on, 4 cancelled fights in just over a year and a half. Let's talk to you about how difficult the pandemic has been for you, and even the difficult camp and the Fiziev fight.
Yeah, I don't think people even realize when you're saying that, you know what I mean? But you just think, oh yeah, you're just not fighting, not active. But you've seen anyways, it's been very difficult. Like mentally, you have to like to stay stable is very difficult, because you're trying to get a fight, you train for a camp, next minute you're not fighting, and you just keep training, you don't know when you're gonna fight, you know what I mean? But I've stayed positive, stayed in the gym, I've done what I had to do, and now I feel like everything happens for a reason, and I believe like, oh, this is the right time now. I've had a year and a half maybe out without a fight, but I feel like I haven't been like, oh, just sitting at home doing nothing. I've been very active, trying to learn, making progress from my game. So now I feel it's the right time to show the right opponent.
Yeah, I was going to ask about that, because I had a look at your UFC run. This is the longest layoff you've had, 15 months between fights. Are you a believer in ring rust, or do you think that will have any effect? I think it might be a little bit rusty in the first round, perhaps.
I don't know, I never believe him, but I just feel like I'm a beast right now, you know what I mean? Yeah. I feel like everything is working how I want it, you know what I mean? I've been sparring in the gym. I've been sparring, helping lads I've been fighting, you know what I mean? I've been training for camps, I've been preparing well for fights, which hasn't happened. But now I feel like, I'm a beast. That's how I feel. That's how I just feel right now, you know what I mean?
Yeah. You're meant to fight this Alves in 4th of September. That got cancelled. I believe it was he originally withdrew, but did you also have a little bit of a niggle as well, a little bit of an injury?
I had a niggle, but I didn't pull it out because I knew I could go through that injury. But obviously he pulled out. I didn't get the reason. I felt like maybe he felt like he needed more time to train for me. But we're here now, and that's why. If you looked at, we've been like kind of like very low argument on Instagram. They said I'm stalking him. If anything, I'm training hard, and I'm just worried that it don't show up because I know like he's in a pattern. If he's not posting nothing, he might not show up. So I'm training and nervous. I've had 4 pullouts, so I'm just hoping he's doing something so we can fight. If it makes sense, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm just hoping like he's doing something. He's ready to fight, or it just sat there. Me, I working out. He's then up just eating his pizza, or whatever, not preparing. And when it comes to fights, like, I'm pulling out. You know what I mean? And at the time, I can't fight 5 pullouts in a row. You know what I mean? I'm tired. I don't want to fight.
Do you know? Obviously, this run that you've been on, and I don't know what your relationship is like, or even if this question could be asked, but how many pullouts you've had the last year and a half? Could you go to the UFC or someone there and go, listen, can we have, can I have someone not on standby, but someone who we could almost have as a potential replacement or penciled in, or is that not really a position you feel like you're at?
I never really thought of that. I just wait. If I find an opponent, I'll take it. Like I've never ever said no to a fight or been pulled out to a fight. Even when I was injured, I've never ever said no. Like every opponent it gave me, I said yeah to. Come on, like physical fight, I didn't have to take it.
Yeah.
I took it because I felt like I just want to fight. You know what I mean? Because I could have said no to him, but I said yeah because mentally, even pulling out to me, it makes me feel like I'm being a bitch. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I say, oh no, I can't fight that guy. UFC, you meant to fight everybody.
Yeah.
And that's my mindset. When it comes to anyone in UFC, I'll fight. It's just amount of time who it is and where at.
Yeah. So you've had the same opponent, but I think there's been 10, 11 weeks difference between the original booking and the next booking. Is that difficult, preparing for an opponent for so long and then it being cancelled and then having to prepare for them again? How do you reset? How do you keep yourself focused on the task at hand?
Yeah. No, well, with this guy, I just know his game. I've not really looked at too much. Like, I keep watching the guy because something that plays in your mind. I'm just literally, when I train back in England, I let my coaches watch him. Even here, I let people watch him. All I want to do, be my best. That's all I feel like right now, especially like I said, after physical fight, all I know now is just be my best.
Yeah.
As long as I'm my best, I can beat anybody. And I've not really watched much of him. They weren't like, he does this, he does that. I know people have watched him and I'll be coached how I should beat him. And that's what I'm doing.
We get this fight out the way, Mark. Where would you like to be the next 12 months? What's the short-term goal, the next 12, 18-month period of Marc Diakiese? What's the goal?
You hear it, but I've heard UFC in London, March.
I've heard the rumours.
To get a good finish, and you'll hear it. You'll hear it. My plans are there, but not right now. You know what I mean? I need to get this win out of the way.
Yeah, you get this win. Do you think your chances of getting on the London card in March are affected by how long this fight goes? If it's a decision, you maybe need to take some time off, or what's the score there?
It would be daft not to have me in London.
Yeah.
It would be daft. Yeah, London, that's my place. I've always preferred. I'm undefeated out there. I've always performed. You know what I mean? So it'd be daft not to have me on. Yeah, but I'm looking forward to that.
The original London card, you were originally booked against Stevie Ray, and then I think Ray pulled out, and then it was Jai Herbert.
Twice he pulled out on me. Twice, yeah.
Yeah.
Jai was more of because of a COVID, I believe. It was COVID. Yeah. And somebody else. Alan Patrick.
Alan Patrick, yeah. Would you like to fight a Brit in the London card if all being well, or would you prefer a foreign opponent?
Like I said, I don't really care. Like I'm in UFC to fight anyone. You know what I mean? I don't care who it is. We're gonna fight. Simple as that.
Yeah, perfect, mate. Well, I'll leave you with one final question, and I know you're a bit of a quiet guy, Mark. I don't know what you're going to reply to this, but give me a prediction. What happens when you're locked in there next week in your return against Rafael Alves?
It's a finish.
Finish.
I'm saying that. Yeah, I'm putting him to sleep. That's my goal. That's my plan. I want to put him to sleep because I've got people to call out. I've got names I want to put out there. So I want to finish. That's my goal.
Perfect, mate. Well, very much thank you for your time. Very much thank you for the time that I've got to know you in little bits, and thank you for jumping on today.
Thank you. No problem, man. Nice seeing you again.
Before we finish, Mark, how can people find you on social media?
My Instagram, Facebook, All of them just Marc with a C _ Diakiese. It's Diakiese. And that's on social medias.
And before we finish, I give this opportunity to everyone. Anything you want to say, sign off with sponsors you want to plug, the floor is yours.
Yeah, no, I just want to say thank you to Hudson Roofing Company. They helped me a lot with obviously being out here. Prima Solutions with my management, Carl, for helping me out. It just, because it's been difficult camp, but I'm here now. They helped me a lot. So I just want to say thank you to them for all the help.
Perfect, mate. Great to catch up.
Thank you, man.